Guys, now the question is, do your dogs need breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So we have our kennel partners here. I've been here now in their home for about 2 months. One of the things that they've done is they dialed back some of their feeding. Now, Kat controls a lot of what goes into the food. She likes to go through a long journey. I mean, I tell you personally from where I'm sitting, and this is good to watch because I gotta be honest, there's only a few things I care about in this life. And being honest, even when me and Jamarcus was doing our walk, coming back from the grocery store, I'm thinking, man, I cannot wait to be on land with the walk out the door, let the dogs out, and walk around my property, which is probably gonna be at least a mile long with the dogs in the morning, just collecting my thoughts before we get to the day. I've been around people who own planes and jets, and I remember one of them said, "Hey Trev, I got to fly to New York today. You want to go with me?" I'm thinking, I can't go to New York today. I got to go to Shawnee Mission West and deal with these kids. But that would be good too, because there's houses where they've got these built-in landing pads and strips. And he said, "Hey, let's head over to." One guy says, "Hey, you want to go do a Tough Mudder?" I said, "How are we gonna get there? What is it?" He said, "It's a 12-mile race with 36 obstacles." I said, "Why would we do that?" He said, "Man, we fly in the morning." I said, "Fly in?" He says, "Yeah, I got a plane." I go, "What?" I said, "You fly?" He said, "Absolutely, man. It's an amazing thing." So anyway, back to the food thing. What are some things that you guys have learned just in dialing your dog's meal times back? Because I'm sure at one time y'all thought dogs had to eat 3 times a day.
Believe it or not, dialing the meal back, they are they're more excited. It seems like they have more energy, and then it's like they look forward to the meal than just getting them on a routine. And especially with trying to get Lola, we're working with Lola more now. KK and Dolce more so chill, but dialing the food back, they have something to look forward to, which creates a drive for them. So now when we go out and work them, they're either knowing that once they get out the cage to go work, roam around, do whatever we ask of them, they know, that meal is coming, and like they look forward to that. I feel like they have more excitement, more energy, which is crazy. When we used to put the meals on them, I think at one point, like how much were we giving each of the dogs, babe?
A lot.
Like we was packing it on them, but they look great though. They look great, but. Like Trevor made a point, we took, at times social media tried to bash me when we took Dolce out. Dolce she's a very healthy dog. She eats better than most humans. But in that moment, realizing that weight also plays a factor with what they could do, we definitely had to dial it back. And on top of it, seeing all the food come out then. all of the food come out.
Chicken legs and everything.
So I feel like it's definitely helped. I don't see, no negatives, a lot of pros from that transition. Yeah. And to me, I feel like it might have been one of the best things to do for them.
Well, about yourself, Kat?
I think it's also helped with, yes, it's helped a lot with their energy, but I also think it's helped a lot with their digestion too. Because again, whenever that happened to Dolce, we realized that food was not, not all the way digested, and that was 24 hours after she had had a meal. I think we kind of noticed that, and so not only is the way they use the restroom a little bit better, but yeah, they just have a lot more energy. They seem happier.
That's the craziest part is we got a lot of dogs here, and I don't feel like it's muddy back there. Now they do a good job of cleaning up, but it's like 9 dogs, and we get out there and play with it. I don't feel like it's just doo-doo everywhere.
Yeah. The kids out there with cleats on, and everybody outside. Everyone gets their turn in the backyard. You don't hear a lot of damn. We just stepped on some food. The general doesn't count though, because those are like pigeon droppings. That's
all. Thank y'all so much. Dr. Karen Becker does a very good job in the video. A couple links I'm going to make sure we attach to this. For one, click those links below. The one below, I think that's super important, is how a dog's digestive system works. That's one of my favorite ones. I've sent it to plenty of people. It's not a long thing. You're going to watch it and think, oh, hopefully you process the point that it works in 12-hour increments. Later in this episode, our kennel partner is going to talk about the benefits that they've seen from their dogs and eating once a day. And even at one point when Dolce had a conniption outside and almost fell apart, turned around that same night, her body threw up everything, and you saw whole chicken legs, which let you know almost 12 to 24 hours prior she hadn't processed the food yet. Because a carnivore system works very different than herbivores, omnivores, and I can't think of whatever other vor it is, but those are the main ones. So when you're feeding your dog, people ask, you know, hey, well, how many times should I feed? I see the questions. Still getting them. How many times should I feed my dog? What can I feed my dog this? Can my dog still eat chicken? Or can my dog eat raw chicken? Well, my dog has an allergy to this. Listen, all great questions. Eventually they'll all be answered, and you'll have a belief that, hey, this is what to do with the dog. Let me be very clear and tell you is a dog does not need lunch, a dog does not need breakfast, and a dog does not need dinner. Someone says, hey, well, what about snacks? What about them? What about them? Snacks are anywhere from 10 to 15 treats, and the irony is we got these bag of treats right here. Make sure when you are getting treats, it says one ingredient. What you see back here is just beef liver, no extra, no additives. When we do snacks, it's training time. You want to keep your dog motivated and driven. You want to manage your dog's energies. The best time to feed your dog literally is 2 hours before bed, because when do most people grow? At night. So in that time, the dog's in the cage, it has to be still, it's relaxing. I'll tell you this, I told you my dad did 7 years in a level 5 prison. And when you think about it, I used to have a picture, I can't find it no more, but that joker was cut up. and the one thing that convicts get that we don't get out here in the real world is sleep. I couldn't go to sleep last night till 2:30, and I've been upstairs, we got back by at least what, 11:10, 11 to 12. And I was in the bed, cut the TV off. I didn't want to hear nothing else. I just want to go to bed, and I just couldn't. And I think it's because we're so trained to be awake nonstop. I didn't play no game, nothing. And at that time, I can't even process the information. I could read, but I wouldn't retain, if that makes sense. So feeding your dog, and even for those people that work out, someone says you shouldn't eat at night. If you are a ectomorphic body type, skinny guy, metabolism's always going. Someone says don't eat at night. When do you think you're growing? At night. That's when growth takes place. And some people who are ectomorphs, skinny guys, they can wake up in a sweat, a cold sweat, or just a sweat in general, because their body's always metabolizing calories. So you actually need to eat. If you don't eat no other time, especially if you're exercising, you need to eat before you go to bed so you can grow. It's not when people throughout the day they see changes. When they wake up, they say, man, I feel a little bit lighter, I feel a little bit better. That's when the people say, hey, weigh yourself. It's in the morning. So if you let's say at one point I was like 240. I'm bigger than now, but I was 240. And I got down to 211 on this diet plan that AJ put together for me, and we was all getting ready. And I got down to like 211 at like 11 o'clock at night, which means if I woke up, I would probably be about 207 to 209. It's not uncommon. You lose a lot of water during your sleep. Keep all that in mind. That's the crazy part. So when I'm feeding the dogs, for one, the dogs would hunt at dusk. Yeah, or dusk. And then to top it off, they would sleep and relax through the night unless they're a Tibetan Mastiff. Tibetan Mastiff means chained dog. They literally are nocturnal. Not that they don't sleep, but they were bred to stay up all night to protect the livestock, bark and keep things away, but also protect if they had to. That's a whole nother conversation. Point is this: should your dog eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No. A good healthy meal, and I've proven it with Tron. I tried to do the 2 meals a day when Tron swallowed the toy. It didn't work. He had blowouts, he had inflammation, he was backed up. I then doubled the amount of food based on numbers. He was eating 4 to 5 pounds of food once a day, 7 days straight. And guess what? He still wasn't holding on to the weight because his body wasn't designed to do that. When it was time, now he's a 90-pound dog. My favorite meal is dinner time. I think a lot of people's meals are dinner time. Some people love breakfast. They've told you it's the most important meal of the day, but that's also a lie. But we don't have that kind of time on our hands. So, I like chicken. I know chicken seems to be something that causes our dogs a lot of issues. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the chicken. I think whatever they're putting in the chicken is the problem. We'll talk about that at another time. If I were to feed my dog, I'll try to find the link and attach Dr. Karen Becker talking about, I know exactly where it is actually, I see the clip in my head. She talks about it at some point, and I maybe even put the timestamp in, but point is you need to watch the whole thing regardless. When to feed your dogs, she'll say it in the video. Follow how dog's digestive system works. It works in 12-hour increments, and the dog's digestive system only works if it's actually going to be active. So it only breaks down what's in his stomach to be utilized if it's about to go do something. So if you have inactive dogs and your dogs are throwing up, even my buddy Rich, his old lady, she heard me talking about this one time at her house literally 2 years ago. She said, so the dog's only supposed to eat once? And I said, yeah. She goes, is that why Frisco and Amethyst throw up at times? I said, probably. So get this, she only feeds it once a day and she's had no more issues. You guys that are Frenchie lovers, stuffing that poor Frenchie 3 times a day is ridiculous. That really is ridiculous. Them poor jokers, you just keep backing that stomach up, stuffing that little potato, and it keep getting swollen and inflamed. And I think even some of y'all's allergies and other issues come from that poor dog getting stuffed like a hacky sack. So, for now, stay tuned, take your dogs. Feed 2 hours before you go to bed. You want to know what goes into the meal, I'll feed Hera at some point and show you guys what I would put into a meal. But we probably just going to turn that into another video, so I can break down proteins and why I choose certain meats and what I'm trying to do with her and what stage of mitosis she's in.